The RNC is a wrap with the nomination of Donald Trump, a new VP running mate, and a new Republican platform. How should we think about all of this today? Here's the point. This week, millions of Americans stayed close to their screens to watch the main stage of the Republican National Convention and to hear from all sorts of speakers and advocates for the grand old party, many of the usual suspects, and some unusual late arrivals that will form the new coalition for 2024. For my part, I want to say that there was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, inspiration, joy, laughter. There was a lot of sorrow and grief. There was also at times embarrassment and cringe. And that's what you would get from a big tent coalition. There will be much agreement and disagreement along the way, as this is politics. There are several observations to make and a few final takeaways for how we might think about all of this. First, I just want to say that leading up to the convention, there was a great deal of controversy concerning the Republican platform, and for good reason. The RNC removed the sanctity of life and abortion. They removed the defense of traditional marriage between a man and a woman. They removed a number of references to God from the platform, and we have already discussed these issues elsewhere. But arriving at the convention, there was already disappointment because it was clear that the RNC was peeling back from advocating as strongly on policies of grave concern to social conservatives, Catholics, and evangelicals who have dedicated their lives to defending life, marriage, the family, and promoting religious liberty for decades. And that should not stop, and it will not stop. But leading into the convention, it was now a question of what we were going to see and observe as the RNC presented its new platform to the world with even newer coalition partners. And this included the controversy of the Sikh Hindu prayer as a benediction on Monday night. While this was not the first time ever that an interfaith prayer had happened at the RNC, everyone was on high alert to any deviation from past norms. That also included the highly controversial speech given by Amber Rose, who is a known adult model and rapper who has been outspoken about her lifestyle and past behavior. Second, there were welcomed RNC newcomers and cultural icons like UFC CEO and President Dana White, legendary wrestling entertainer Hulk Hogan, and Kid Rock, who performed before Donald Trump's nomination speech. These all signaled a more populist message at a base cultural level, unlike how RNC conventions used to work in our grandparents' generations. We saw Tucker Carlson return to the stage to deliver an unscripted and impromptu speech during the same primetime slot where he hosted his Fox News show. The new host, Jesse Waters, even acknowledged as much. Third, we heard a clear gospel presentation and a clear Christian prayer from Franklin Graham on Thursday evening that made it unmistakable that while the RNC may have reduced the platform language, the RNC still emphasized Christian and evangelical engagement from its platform. The Christian faith played an important and central role throughout the RNC in speeches, invocations, and benedictions. While we are equally disappointed at the downgrading of the RNC platform, there is no mistake that the message was still carried from the stage. Fourth, J.D. Vance's speech gave introduction not only to a new leader in the Republican Party, but also a new message. And that message is one of national populism that emphasizes the America First agenda. Vance's own story of being a boy from Appalachia raised by a blue-collar family epitomizes much of American life. There are states and localities all across America that have seen job loss and lost wages to China and Mexico, the rise in gas prices, food prices, and housing prices, that have seen tax dollars going to military intervention and economic aid abroad, while poverty, addiction, and suicide claim the lives of America's youth and American veterans coming home. Vance's story is the story of many Americans, and it is clear that the new priority of the Republican platform is no longer Chamber of Commerce or Wall Street, but the American worker and the American family trying to make a home in the country they love. At one point, Taking a line from G.K. Chesterton, Vance said, "America is not just an idea. America is a nation. When political and economic priorities only reward ruling class elites at the expense of the common, ordinary, working class poor, these priorities must be confronted." Vance also contended that the GOP is still the party of debate, where ideas could be argued and discussed, and many social conservatives will be counting on robust debate to contend for their priorities, most important to faith, family, and freedom. Fifth, Trump's speech was by far the highlight of the entire RNC. Regardless of your political stance, it is clear that Saturday's failed assassination attempt has transformed the entire momentum and outlook of the 2024 election cycle. And it is unclear even today what the DNC will do. But we will be watching and we will be covering those events as they unfold. But what is clear is that Trump's countenance and demeanor has changed. What the public saw was a very different man on Thursday night from the man who came down the escalator in Trump Tower back in 2015. He was not braggadocious or bombastic. He was not profane, but he acknowledged to the crowd that he was not even supposed to be alive. While paying tribute to Corey Comparatori and his grieving family who lost a husband and a father, Trump said, "I stand before you in this arena by the grace of Almighty God. It is important to acknowledge, no matter who you are or where you stand, that Donald Trump does owe his life and his gratitude to God. He would not dispute or withhold that fact." Today, Trump is now only one of 4 men in American presidential history who has appeared at the top of his party's ticket 3 times. There is no question that his political legacy is already being cemented, and he will be a historical figure for decades to come. His political influence has reshaped the GOP, and just like Reagan, has pushed old figures out and pulled new political figures in. The battleground states are now redrawn due to Trump's influence in Rust Belt states, leading to a new political alignment all across the country. So how should Christians process all of this? First, we must recognize that there is no perfect political process. Politics is the art of the possible, what is attainable. What is the better choice, but not the fictional best choice? Everyone must understand that when entering into political discussion. There is no sugarcoating the fact that social conservatism has been weakened by the downgrade of the Republican platform and by introducing new coalition partners who will only weaken the priority of the unborn and traditional marriage. There is also no sugarcoating the reality that the sanctity of life has been defeated 8 times on state ballots since the overturning of Roe v. Wade in 2022. Christians should not be cynical, but always hopeful. Christians should not be delusional, but always realistic. Wise as serpents, yet innocent as doves. Christians should never give in to the spirit of the age, nor give up on the age, take their ball and go home. The purpose of political coalitions is, in fact, to win elections. And no one has ever lost an election yet had the opportunity to make public policy that benefits anyone. That's a tough pill to swallow, but those are the facts. That's why political parties and coalitions matter. That's why everyone watches national conventions with interest and concern. And that is also why conservatives, evangelicals, and Catholics, and many others are needed as coalition partners to ensure that life, marriage, family, religious liberty, and all other concerns are protected. In all these things, pray continuously, be engaged, speak the truth in love, lean in, be a good citizen. Don't ever quit. You don't have a right. You have a responsibility before God. Don't waste it.